How am I
Yeah, that
looking?
could be the intro. You look good.
I put up
Clearly
my
got a webcam.
yes, I put up my GoPro. So I have to look up though to look at the camera now because it's like
Right.
so much higher than my computer. Uh, but how are you
See, for
doing?
me, my camera's right here, obviously,
Yeah.
and I want to look at you. All right. I think this will work, actually.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Okay. Well, welcome to episode 2 of our ramblings with the Reeses or whatever
Right.
we're
Whatever we
calling
call
it at this
this.
point. The name is still up in the air, right?
To be
Uh,
determined still.
TBD, TBD. But I think we got some good stuff to talk about today. And we've been talking these last couple of days, but I feel like every time we've been talking, instead of diving deep into what we want to talk about, it's almost like let's wait till we
Let's just
record.
let's just save it. Exactly. That's what it's definitely been. Let's save it till we actually do this.
So it's been kind of totally different for us.
Yeah. Totally.
It also is nice because we're forced, like you said this before, we're forced to keep our conversations like 30 minutes ish, right?
As opposed to like hours at a time. Charlotte will get mad at me when we talk for hours. I'm like, wow, that's a really long phone call.
I know, is because we just are gonna keep the free Zoom version.
Maybe one day we'll pay for something, but
I
I don't
know.
know.
Well, I have for business, we do video calls and we were using Zoom, but then we switched over to Google and we've been using Google Meets. And with our Google Meets, I think our business one, we have a paid version of it, like just a little bit. Like by adding a little bit of storage, I think it gave us Google Meets too in our Google Drive, and so it just worked out. But
See, I think Google Meets is better. I'll say this. There's two things I want to say right at the beginning here. If somehow this ever makes any money, if this ever makes a minimum of like a $500 total,
okay,
then we should pay for like Zoom or Google Meets, and then I'll also buzz my hair.
okay, you're gonna buzz your hair. So
Buzz it?
we let's get this on record. So everyone needs to
Right.
start subscribing, watching it, so we can get some YouTube ads. The YouTube ads will be of razors, and then well, that's the one we'll buzz your head with.
Right.
So we're gonna buzz your head if we ever make $500 on YouTube. That's what you're
Right.
saying.
Yeah. That's what I'm
Okay.
saying.
No takebacks.
No takebacks. I will buzz my head if we make $500 on
If we
YouTube.
make $500 too, what we'll probably do is at that point we'll probably create like an email for this thing and create a paid account on like Google or whatever so we can have our unlimited talking.
Yeah, I feel very confident that that's never going to happen. So,
You're probably right. You're probably right. Patrons out there of all 2 people that are also family members. I mean, feel free to fork it over.
just for Brady to buzz his head.
So, the first thing I want to talk about today was something I kind of mentioned to you earlier today. I said I have something to talk about, right? And I'm going to call this the wedding show ordeal. So, for
Got
those
it.
that don't know, which everyone that is listening to this right now would know because they're our family members, but Alex and I are wedding photographers, right? So, we do wedding photography. And last year was when we really started to like push marketing and actually try to book weddings actively. This year has been a transition where we're still trying to book, but we're transitioning into a different type of clientele. So it's just that's what this year's been. But last year, as we're really trying to book, get weddings, we decided to do a wedding show, right? I listened to a couple podcasts, talked about wedding shows. We decided to do it. So I did some research. This was the one that was in
You felt was
Raleigh.
like
Felt
good.
was
Yeah.
good situation, good deal, a good amount of people. We had a good booth, all of these things, right? So
Right.
decide to do it. And these wedding shows, depending on where you're going and what you're doing, like this wedding show was, I think, $1,400 or $1,500. Plus, we had to buy a bunch of stuff. So all in, I think our total investment was maybe probably about 17 or 1,800 that we had
Got it.
paid to like do this wedding show. And we and you also have to remember this is the first wedding shows that were happening last fall since COVID. So a
Right.
lot of people didn't know what it was going to be like and all this stuff. So we go to this show. The show turns out for us, Alex and myself, for our company was a success. We booked quite a few weddings from it. We definitely made our money back. It was a success. The overall show though wasn't that great of an experience. And what I mean by that is there were empty booths, which when there are empty booths, a lot of shows will consolidate the floor plan so that it
Right.
doesn't feel
Make
as
it more
empty.
tight. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Because when there's empty booth, it just feels empty and doesn't feel as full. And you know what I mean? It's just the psychology
Right.
of buying. The second thing that they didn't do very well is they weren't very organized. Like we had originally had a booth number, and then when I got there, I was like, okay, we have this booth. They had switched our booths
Without telling you.
without telling me, and it ended up working out where we still had a good booth on a corner, which is where we wanted to be on a main alley, but it wasn't the one we had originally. So it's just little things like that.
Right.
Also, certain wedding shows will make it where like there are rules you can't pack up early because again, the psychology of buying, you have an hour left, and if
Yeah.
people are packing up, it's
It's like it
the
doesn't
bride's like,
look
oh,
very
well,
good.
yeah. And they think, oh, well, it's ending. So at this show, people are packing up early. So it's all these different things of the way the show is ran that made
Right.
us say, we're not going to
No, we're
do
not doing it
this
again.
show again. Well, in order to get the discount we did when we did the show, we signed up for a multi-year deal. And that multi-year deal is just like we're signing up for multi-year where we're rolling into next year as well, but we can cancel, right? Anytime. And we can basically cancel until August 1st. So we had like 10 months to cancel or whatever it was. So the show happens, success for us. Overall, we decided not to do it anymore. January comes around and I start getting bombarded with emails and calls for signing up for more shows with the same company. So not
Right.
just the one that we had already committed to for the next year, but for more shows. Well, throughout all these communications, I'm not even kidding, multiple calls like a week, like at least one a week, multiple emails a month, probably 2 to 3 emails a month over from January. We're going to say January to April. Well, in these calls, when I would answer, because sometimes I wouldn't and I would forget, but when I would answer in every single communication, I said, hey, thank you so much for the information. You know what? We're actually not interested right now. We want to cancel the upcoming show that we're already signed up for. We want to cancel that. And then if we decide to do a show in the future, we'll let you know. So this is what I said like every conversation on the phone. And it was always with the same person. I had said this multiple times, maybe 3 times to this same thing. Keep getting these calls because they keep talking about the show we're signed up for. So finally in April, it was at the beginning of April, I get an email and it's about our show or what I'm assuming is our show. It talks about the Raleigh convention. So the show's coming up. You need to get this, this, and this ready for the show. So in mind, I'm thinking, okay, they're probably still talking about this show in November that we had signed up for that I've
Right.
tried to cancel 3 times. So I sent an email and in the email said, thank you so much for the information. We are not interested in renewing. Thank you. Now, if you were to
Right.
receive that in customer service, what would you think I'm
I
saying?
mean, then like you obviously canceled, clearly. Yeah.
Clearly. So I think we canceled because I don't hear from them for a month.
Right.
I think we're good. And then I start getting more marketing emails, more emails from them about other shows. Sometimes I respond, sometimes I don't. Well, all of a sudden, I'm getting these emails like, oh, your payment is coming up that's due for the upcoming show. And so I respond and say, hey, I don't know why I'm getting this. I had already canceled this back in April. Uh, just update your records. Thanks. And so they respond, we'll send us the email. So I send them the email that I just told you. And yeah, I don't think much of it. So then it happens again. And I end up talking on the phone with this. Okay, before that email happened, I ended up talking on the phone to someone, the same person, and I had told them on the phone again, hey, I don't know why I keep getting this stuff. I canceled that. That was canceled already on the phone, right? So I need
Right.
to like not do that. I'll send me the information about these other shows, sure, but I'm done. I'm not doing the November one. So then this other email happens again where these emails keep coming where I'm getting these, your payment's coming up, your payment's coming up. Don't forget about like getting ready for the show. And so I keep responding to all these emails. I've already canceled this. I'm really confused why I
Please
keep
stop.
getting these. Please stop sending this to me. I've already canceled. So I'm not even kidding you. I've had this same like email chain of I've already canceled. Why am I still getting this like 5 times? So I finally am able to talk to someone and they're like, okay, well, you need to give 90 days notice to cancel. Uh, there's these things, we can't just do it. And I'm like, okay, I get all of that. That's fine. The show is not till November. At this point, we're like 110 days out. I was like, so I'm giving you notice, I'm canceling. Not only that, I canceled in April. So like that's
Right.
clearly 90 days, right?
Right.
So then
Yep.
today, so all of this is happening, okay? Constant things. Again, I just am like, I don't know why this is an issue. I've
Right.
clearly
I've
been.
told you so many times, please stop.
So today I get an email, and the email comes from the show's accounts receivable or whatever. And it's like, sends me a bill and sends me the contract and sends me all these things. And I'm like, why am I getting this still? Again, I'm so confused why I'm still receiving it. So at this point, I
Right.
read the contract. I'm reading the contract, and the contract says that I need to cancel by August 1st. And it doesn't even say that I have to cancel email written. It just says I have to cancel by August 1st. Well, I've
Right.
clearly been trying to do that for
Right.
months of communication. So I email them again and I'm really upset and I send all this stuff and they respond and say, "Oh, well, no, that you said you didn't want to renew and that was the spring show." And so I call them. All right, I call this lady that says this to me and I'm very upset and I say, "I don't understand why this is so difficult to cancel. Why who do I need to talk to? What do I need to do?" So I stop getting these emails. And so the show is canceled. We're still, by the way, we're still over 100 days out. It's not like
Right.
me canceling. They have time to find another vendor, right? They
Right.
haven't done the marketing in our area yet for it. So it's not like our names aren't on anything.
Right.
Not a big deal, right? Just cancel it. Cancel us. So I'm saying all this. I'm pretty upset. And she keeps saying, "Well, no, you didn't cancel. Like that was you didn't cancel. You didn't cancel in writing." And what are you talking about? So at this point, I say, and my elevation, this is what I feel bad about because I got pretty heated. Like I was audibly upset. I was really upset, and I kind of ripped into this person because I was like, who do I need to talk to? Who do I need to talk to get this canceled? Okay, well, let me talk to my supervisor. Maybe we can get something worked out. I'm like, okay, no, I don't want you to talk to your supervisor. Put me on the phone with them. Whoever that is, whoever the person is that I need to talk to get this whole thing resolved, put me on the phone with them. Well, the buck stops with me. Okay, so get it resolved. I don't talk. You don't
Right.
need to talk to your supervisor then.
Then just cancel
Just
it. Like
cancel
just
it. Get it resolved. Okay, well, yeah, yeah. I think I'll be able to. Let me see what I can do. I don't want to hear that. This is why I said. I literally said these words. I don't want to hear that. What I want to hear is it's done. The next time we talk, the only thing that should happen is you should tell me, "Hey, you're canceled." Awesome. Like I don't want to hear anything else. Okay, well, I need to talk to my supervisor. If you say that to me one more time, I need to talk to your supervisor. I don't need you to. I need to talk to them.
right.
If the buck truly stops with you, if you really have this power, cancel the subscription. Right. So this is all happening. I'm pretty heated. You can hear like my
Right.
inflection right
Yeah.
now.
Yep.
Um, so we hang up and I felt bad because I was like upset because this is just circles. I feel like I'm having the same conversation 10 times.
Right.
And so I email her and I'm like, hey, thank you so much for talking today. Look forward to hearing from you by tomorrow with confirmation of the final cancellation. Right.
Right.
So we'll know more tomorrow. Next week, I'll have an update on whether or not I have to go through this all again. But I swear, if she sends me one more bill or one more like information on it, I'm gonna be so upset. Put me on the phone with whoever I need to talk to. Like, let's get
Because
this.
I'm so done with this. Like
Yeah.
I don't want another phone call. I want this over now. Just stop.
Yes. Yes. So that was my morning. That was probably about an hour this morning of this whole conversation and emails.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
I know, right? I know. So that's what I feel better about like venting it right now and
Right.
talking to you. I talked to Jeff about it earlier, but I needed to talk about it with someone to get because again, I felt bad about kind of losing my composure, but I was just I mean, I shouldn't have lost my composure. I didn't yell, but
Right. You were upset.
I was aggressive and I'm just like, oh my goodness, though. Like, how hard is it? Just like
Yeah,
hit
I
the
don't know.
cancel button.
Right.
They are done. Delete me.
Like,
Whatever.
yeah.
Uh
Just, you know, you don't want to talk to me again. I don't want to talk to you again. Let's just
let's just let's
yeah,
let's let's
please.
let's just end it. So that was my morning. And then yeah, so on more positive vibes, switching to like
Let's just have
more
a complete 180 here.
I want to hear about
You
Gilded Age.
we gotta work on our transitions for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, for sure. But I want to hear about Gilded Age. So tell me, because you finished that this weekend, right?
I finished it on Sunday. Michelle and I finished it Sunday. It was great.
Where
Here's the
can
thing about
where can someone see Gilded Age?
HBO.
Okay.
Yeah, HBO. It's awesome. HBO is probably the best streaming service, I think. It has so much stuff. It's great.
Yeah.
So Sean and I finished Gilded Age this Sunday. By the way, for everyone that doesn't know, Sean's my wife. I've been married for a year. Everyone that does listen to this knows that Sean's my wife. So
True. It's true.
so yeah. So anyways, Gilded Age. It's a period drama based in the 1880s. What's the Gilded Age of America? It takes place in New York City, Manhattan. Um, and it's wonderful. It's in the same vein of Downton Abbey.
I think
It's
it's the same
more like,
creators, right?
yeah, it's the same creators, Downton Abbey for sure. But this is way better than Downton Abbey.
I liked it better too.
Like I think every character in the show is better than any character in Downton Abbey.
Yeah, like I
Um,
liked so many characters in Gilded Age,
right,
whereas in Downton Abbey, there's only a handful, and even then, I didn't love any of the characters. I loved the family and the story,
right.
but yeah, sorry.
So I have two big thoughts about the show. The first one is the dad is awesome. George
Yes.
Russell's amazing. And it was really refreshing watching a show where the father wasn't a cheater. He wasn't a liar. He wasn't just like this scumbag. And he was just like a good guy. Does that make sense? He's a
Yeah.
competent man. He's not some idiot. He's a competent guy who does everything for his family and he wants to be successful. And he is successful. But like it is so rare to find a show today where it's like a family and the dad doesn't cheat. The dad is again, he's like a ruthless businessman, but he's not a liar, right?
Yeah.
Like he's upfront about what he does, right?
Yeah.
And that was great. He's awesome. That's the first big point. The second big point, I thought it was really interesting, like their neighbors, Mrs. Van Ryn, right? She is part of the old money, and it was really interesting to show the dichotomy of like racism. I don't like this is a period piece, right? Like not everything wasn't like this, but like it was really interesting that like there's clearly still racism in America. We all know this. In 1880s, it's still not very good for Black people. I mean, it's really bad for Black people.
And it's better in
But
New York than a lot of places, but
yeah,
still.
New York was definitely better, but like it's not good. I sing Mrs. Van Ryn, who's this old rich lady, right? And just like one of her maids is racist. Like I forget her name, but like she's racist, but she doesn't care. And that was like really cool. But the reason why I say that is because her character is really interesting and that
Yeah.
she is mean towards the new money people, but she's not a bad person.
Yeah.
Does that make
And
sense?
yeah, totally. And that's one thing I loved about the show is I actually loved her character and that just showed every character had complexity.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
totally.
Like like Mrs. Van Ryn, she was the villain when it came to the neighbors, right?
Right,
But
totally.
she is the hero when it comes to like her home. And but she's also kind of like the villain when it comes to the niece. It's just this
It's interesting.
weird dynamic and it's really cool and it does show the multifaceted characters and more human-like characters, right? Because we're all
See,
like that in
my
different
biggest
perspectives.
criticism of the show, like think about
I
Oscar
don't
Van
think
Ryn.
Oscar's evil. Actually, Oscar's one of
See,
my favorite characters
see,
because
he's conniving though. He just wants money. He is a liar.
I don't even think it's like that. Think about Oscar. Think about being gay in 1880,
Oh,
right?
totally. I mean, like,
So I think for him it's like I need to marry money and I need to marry someone where I can still live my lifestyle and have everything I like. You know what I mean? Like, it's just such a different mentality that he probably had to go through that every other guy didn't really have to go through. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. You're that's a good point. I just feel like he is the character that's shown in the worst light in the show. Of everyone, I feel like he's the one that no one really roots for. And it's just like it's unfortunate that he's like the only like he's him and his boyfriend are
but
the only gay characters.
what I wonder though, I wonder if that was intentional. I wonder if it
The-
kind of showed that again, we're all kind of, oh man, this guy kind of stinks. And I wonder if that's how he was feeling. He might have felt, you know what I mean? Like I'm sure he was feeling so much social pressure, even more than now, right? He's
right, yeah.
and uh and I wonder if that was intentional, right? So you
Yeah,
every time you were watching him, you're almost feeling maybe what society felt towards him, right?
right,
But then if you put yourself in his shoes, it's like, how would you handle that differently?
right.
What would you do? Like I can't even imagine. That would just
Yeah,
stink.
I mean,
That would stink.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it was a great show though. I loved
Yeah.
it.
That
Highly
was a good one.
recommend.
I would definitely recommend Gilded Age as well. Um, great show. Really, really enjoyable. I just finished, or I say Alex and I finished, Alex is my wife, Better Call Saul. Have
So I have a
you?
question for you.
Yeah.
Is Better Call Saul, I've not seen the last season. Is
Okay.
Better Call Saul better than Breaking Bad for you?
That's a tough question because Breaking Bad is
See,
so good.
I think
Um,
for me, I've
I think
seen
for
all the
me
way
it
through
is.
season 4. I agree. I
I
think it's
think
a
for me
better
it
show.
is.
I think it's
Well,
more engaging the entire run, is
and
the thing.
I think for me, one thing I like about Better Call Saul is the whole series. I am rooting for Saul, right? And
Right,
while he's a scumbag at times while he does these things, like you're still just like rooting for him, you know?
right.
And that's something they did amazing. Whereas in Breaking Bad, you hate kind of everyone, right? Like
Yeah.
everyone is horrible, right? Like in the first season, you're rooting for Walter. And then you realize, wow,
Right.
Walter's like a really horrible person. He's abusive, he's manipulative, he does all these things. Then you're kind of rooting for Jesse. And you're just like, I guess Jesse is the character you root for most, right? I do. And they have all these
Right.
characters that you like, but you shouldn't
Yeah.
like them because they're evil and bad.
Yeah, they're not good people.
They're not good. Whereas with Breaking Bad, with Better Call Saul, you kind of go behind the curtains of a lot of these characters in Breaking Bad, and you actually root for a lot of them in a different way, and you understand them so much better and so much more. And I do think Breaking Bad gets really dark, and it's not very light. And at least Better Call Saul has some. It's also
Levity.
dark, but it does have some levity, and there is some humor, and there is. It's just a totally different vibe that is really good. And this last season, after Breaking Bad, after Better Call Saul ended, Alex starts. She's crying, right? She's just bawling, and she doesn't do too well with endings, just in general, right? And I think that's fair, with experiences she's had, uh, but we talked about the ending and how Breaking Bad did this, I think, really well as well, but Better Call Saul specifically, what a way to end a show. You know what I mean? Like they know they didn't you ended satisfied, right? And it wasn't
Right.
I'm not gonna spoil anything. It's not a happy ending where you're like, yay, but you
Right.
end so satisfied at the story, right? Like
Right.
this is where it ended. And it was a complete story told in a really great way. And I feel like from season one to the very end, they kind of had the whole arc in mind. And that's what I loved about Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. So I thought it
Right.
was an amazing show. If you haven't seen it, Better Call Saul and
Yeah,
Breaking Bad.
I need to watch the last 2 seasons still, but like Better Call Saul is great. I think
Yeah.
it's awesome.
And I
Yeah.
do think you need to watch
Breaking
Breaking Bad
Bad.
first. And
Yeah.
at least you can watch the first couple seasons of Better Call Saul before Breaking Bad. And then so I maybe like the first three or four seasons of Better Call Saul and then get into Breaking Bad because there are certain things that happen in Breaking Bad that later you're like, oh, that's kind of really cool that they tied that in. So it was
Right.
really, really neat.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna finish it. I have a few shows on my list now, but that'll be a watch soon.
What is your top show on your list? So you finished
Well,
Gilded Age.
Blackbird is the next show I'm gonna watch.
Yeah.
So that's the one you keep recommending to me. So I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of coworkers watching it too. So
Yeah. Blackbird's a good one. There's it's interesting because there are a lot of really good shows out, but nothing has been super. I haven't been drawn to anything. I was really drawn to Blackbird and finished that, and obviously Better Call Saul. And there are other shows that I have invested a lot of time in, like Animal Kingdom. I don't know
right.
if you've seen that, but
I've seen bits of it.
it's on its last season as well, and so I'm watching that as the episodes come out, and that's exciting. But a lot of the other stuff I just haven't really gotten into, and so Alex and I have actually spent a lot of time. This is really funny. Don't laugh, but Keeping Up with the Kardashians, we started
Oh my
that.
gosh.
Just for like mindless things to like work as you're watching it and as we're
You're just
just
like,
like
yeah.
sitting there. It's pretty
Oh my
entertaining,
gosh.
honestly. It's
Yeah.
pretty entertaining.
I just see like articles will pop up like headlines from lines, things that happen keeping the Kardashians. That's funny, dude. The
Yeah.
only reality TV show I'll watch sometimes, which I immediately haven't watched in months, is 90 Day Fiance. Because and like that show is so cringy. It's like so bad. It's so bad. It's so good.
I've
But
never
yeah,
seen it.
it's
I think
like
I think I've
it
seen
is
like a
so.
clip.
It's shocking how many times like an LDS person is actually on that show.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, they cannot. Yeah, it's yeah. I don't really want to talk about 90 Hip Fiance, but
Okay, we'll
it's
skip
like
that.
yeah,
So
let's just skip
instead
it.
of 90 Day Fiance, we won't talk about that, but let's keep talking about shows because I'm curious to see what you think. And we kind of hinted that we want to talk about this, but since 2000, which is kind of when you and I started watching television, I was 8, you're 7, and that's when we've watched stuff that came out from there. So we'll just say since 2000, what have been your top shows or most impactful shows to you or to the world that you've enjoyed the most, or what? Yeah, let's hear your most impactful shows of since 2000. What's your list? What do you got for us?
Okay, so since 2000, this is in no particular order.
Okay.
Just to be clear, I think the most impactful shows are probably The Office, the American Office, not the British Office.
And I guess we should clarify this. The most impactful shows for like you personally or for
This
American.
would this would be me. This would be
Yeah.
me
Oh, you.
personally.
Okay.
I do think a lot of the shows that are on my list would be impactful for like the general American public.
But this is you. But this is
This is
Brady's
me
most
personally.
impactful list. Okay.
Right. So I would say The Office,
Okay.
Avatar: Last Airbender,
Okay.
the animation. It's great.
Yeah.
If you
No,
haven't watched
I've
that,
watched it.
watch
I've
it.
watched
It's
it.
great. I would say How I Met Your Mother. See that How I Met Your Mother is especially one that like is not very good, but like for me, I was so invested in like Ted meeting the mom that like I had to keep watching it.
Yeah.
And Game of Thrones. Honestly, if Game of Thrones, if the last three seasons were great, it would be like I think it would be in the show for like one of the great, most impactful and best TV shows ever.
Yeah.
But the quality takes such a nosedive after season five. You're just like, well, yeah.
Yeah.
But for obviously, it's something everyone was into. Westworld
Season one's amazing.
season one of Westworld, and Breaking Bad. Yeah, those are probably like that's probably like my list in no particular order of shows for me that were really impactful. If I was to say like the general American public, for sure Game of Thrones has to be on there,
Mm-hmm.
only because like of the cultural zeitgeist that was around Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone I think agrees that the show does not end well. It because of that, it doesn't really merit rewatching.
Yeah, that's the thing that's really sad to me about Game of Thrones is like I would love because I love and we both do this fantasy shows. You know, we love a good fantasy war intrigue, all of this. And I would love to rewatch Game of Thrones. And we've how many times have we watched seasons 1 through 5, right? Or one through
Oh,
six,
so many
right?
times.
Because every time a new season came out, we rewatched the whole thing. And I would love to rewatch it all again, but I can't. I will never rewatch it again, I don't think,
It's
because
because
of the
you
way it
know how
ends.
it ends.
And
You
I
just know
know
like it's not satisfying.
it's not, and it's so disappointing. I don't even want to put myself through the hours and hours of having to watch it all again, so I'm not going to.
See, I would say last thing, if we went back to 1990, Seinfeld would have to be like the most impactful show.
Yeah. And
Like,
I think maybe we won't say since 2000, I maybe just in our lives, because for me in my life, the most impactful shows, Seinfeld's up there. Because Seinfeld, that was what I watched, me and Chase, like all the time, our senior year of high school, right? Seinfeld was like the show all the time. Loved it.
it is the best. It is so funny.
Um, I agree with you, The Office. That one is just so impactful and kind of just changed a lot of things. I don't I like Last Airbender, but for me, I'm not gonna
Right.
like no really great show. Not my I'm just not really into anime or into uh animation.
Cartoons.
Yeah, cartoon
Yeah.
shows. It's just there are some really great ones, don't get me wrong, but it's just harder for me. There's something that I just love about the real things. I think I agree with you with Game of Thrones in the sense that that kind of opened up a lot of different shows for me. I think Game of Thrones did that I hadn't watched or hadn't thought about watching. And then Game of Thrones, like, okay, I'm gonna watch these other shows and let's check those out. And those were some really, really great shows, like a Westworld season 1 and stuff.
Right.
Um, one show, and I don't know, maybe impactful is the wrong thing, but in the last little bit that I love, and just I think about a lot of the aspects of it is Yellowstone, right? And I don't know if you've seen Yellowstone, and
Still haven't watched it. That's still on my list.
it's yeah, I because you know me, I love westerns, I love that stuff. And so Yellowstone, I think I'd probably put Yellowstone on that list, to be honest. Um, I need to make a list of all the shows I've seen because it's so
Yeah.
many, and we should make a list and go through and talk about them. But hmm, yeah, that's a tough question. Like, what the most impactful? I think the most impactful show in my life is Seinfeld. Like,
Right.
I think that is the most for me personally. Like Tyler, that's the show, right? I'm not
See,
saying that's my favorite show of all time. I love it. There are shows I like more and I've enjoyed more than Seinfeld, but that was the most impactful to
see, I
me.
think when I think also of like impactful shows, not for me, but just culturally, shows that I don't think are good, but it's interesting that they've been so impactful on like the American public. Then my biggest example is Friends.
Yeah. Ugh.
See, like I don't like Friends.
Me either. But I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
Like it's interesting that so many people love Friends when again, this is another show I'm soured on. How I Met Your Mother is a better version of Friends, but it's still not good.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Well, think about how many. It is kind of crazy, and it's not just Friends. It's Seinfeld is kind of the same idea of Friends, where
Right,
we're just. And Seinfeld is the first of a show about nothing. We're following these friends' lives, right?
right.
And that's what Friends
But
is.
Seinfeld's more slapstick comedy
Yeah,
as
yeah.
opposed to what Friends is.
Like yes, exactly, exactly. And but from Friends, we've got How I Met Your Mother, New Girl, all these other shows. And
Right,
those are just two that are really big, but all these other shows that have now come out that are like the same type of format
right.
that people love, right? But it all started
Yeah.
with those two shows.
So I just yeah,
I mean, it
Friends
all started with
is an
those two
interesting.
shows. I'm sure there was another one, but
Just Seinfeld is definitely just like it's a classic. That's a
yeah,
show I need to watch. That's like apparently like Seinfeld 2.0 is Curb Your Enthusiasm. Every like
I've heard good
yeah,
things about that one too. I haven't watched it.
so I need to watch it.
Yeah. Um, so our homework then is to make a list for each of us. Let's make a list and let's order it. Our top
Yeah.
10 shows personally of all time. And
Okay.
I want it to be in order. So not just no particular order. These are my top 10. Here's
And we'll
why.
go from 10 down and
We'll go
we'll
from 10 down.
alternate.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
The,
Um,
this is a different thing, but we should do this too. Top 10 movies
that
of
is
all time.
so hard, but yeah, I agree. We should. Huh. Top 10 movies. That is tough.
I'm gonna tell you that Lord of the Rings is already gonna be on my top 10.
Yeah.
But like when I classify Lord of the Rings, it's one. The
Yeah.
entire
So
trilogy is one movie.
trilogy is one. Now, are we doing best movies that we've loved the most or most impactful movies?
No, these would be movies that we love the most.
Okay, so and same with shows that we love the most,
Yes,
movies
shows
that we
that
love.
these are not necessarily the best shows ever. I
Okay,
mean, the best shows ever. I've never seen The Sopranos, but that's
I
widely
am in
considered to be the
season 2 of Sopranos. I like Sopranos. I like other shows more than Sopranos,
yeah, but that's like
right?
widely considered by many people to be the greatest show ever. Or The Wire also is considered.
Wire also really good. Kind of slowed down for me once certain things happen in it, and I guess it's so far away I can spoil things, but
Right. I mean, the show came out almost 20 years
yeah,
ago, I think.
Idris
So
Elba's character dies, right? And that was just like,
okay.
okay, he was a really cool character. I don't really care anymore. But like he kind of had again, it was part of the like he had to die.
I
I
had
think it was
to.
the right thing, it was the right move. But
See, that's something about Game of Thrones. Last thing about Game of Thrones, the wrong move is to kill off the last hero character that you really root for. That when they killed Jon Snow, that you have to bring him back to life. And it's like you've pigeonholed them and like into being more cliche. Does that make sense?
well, and then they have to bring him back to life, so he has to be the super important person. And so we have all this buildup, all this excitement around Jon Snow, and what happens?
Yeah, exactly.
What
He
does
just
Jon
goes
do?
nothing. Last
Nothing.
season is pointless. Does nothing. Doesn't even get to kill the Night King. So,
No, he doesn't. He does nothing. He kills Daenerys. Okay, right? Like
well, who
cool.
cares?
And
Doesn't
Daenerys' turn too to like being mad was just like that was abrupt. And
make any sense.
I have maybe a hot take on Daenerys. People keep saying she's so crazy, she's so mad. She literally did what she said.
Yeah,
Like that's the
she
thing that
fulfilled her
bothers me.
word.
Like Tyrion was the best character and then turned into the worst character.
Yeah, just
Tyrion,
complete 180. I'm being a
he was
genius, and now he's like an
amazing, and
idiot.
then all of a sudden everything of advice he gave like blew up in the face of Daenerys. So what do you expect
Right.
her to do? She tells them, "Okay, we're going to give you a chance to surrender." They don't surrender. What do you want her to do? She told them she was going to burn them. She told them that. So if she
Yeah.
doesn't do that, now she's weak, right? So
Yeah.
what does she do? She burns them all. And they're like, "Oh, she's mad. She's crazy." Like
Right.
what did you think was going to happen? She has dragons. You thought
Right.
she wasn't going to burn you because she's trying to conquer again. That's her whole point. She's trying to
Right.
take it over. So I think Daenerys gets a huge bad rap at the end from people. Like, and I in my mind I'm thinking, how is Tyrion a hero
Right.
and how is Daenerys the villain when Tyrion basically everything of advice he gave her in like the last 2 seasons
Is terrible.
was
It's just
garbage.
like,
Like didn't
yeah.
even work. Oh, we should
Nope.
do this. Trust me, trust me. Okay, I'm gonna trust you. Hey,
Yeah.
didn't work. Trust me, trust me. Okay, I'm gonna trust you. Still didn't work. How many times are we gonna trust you and then it still not work? Like, so
Right.
that's my that's my hot take on Daenerys. I think she
Well,
got a bad rap.
I agree with you, but
Okay,
well, talked a lot more about Game of Thrones than I thought we would, but
we
this
did,
is good.
yeah. Seriously, that's funny. Everyone's like that happened like 5 years ago, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Like you're a little
Like,
late on the
listen,
conversation.
it was an important show.
It was
Okay.
important. So cool. Well let's talk next week then. We'll have our list and I'll talk to you later, dude.
Cool. See you, man.
Bye.